Okay, my video didn't play. What is going on, y'all? My name is Chris. This is Ending the Stigma. Um, man, I started this video, or I started the live stream and clicked on all the wrong things to get the intro video going. So my guest tonight, it, y'all, I can't even begin to describe how excited I am about this. April's been in our family for years. I just recently, really got to know her over the past year and a half or so. She's become literally, she's been in the family, like I said, for years. She's been everybody's sister, but she just recently became my sister, one of my best friends, and I absolutely love her. She's a huge part of the Raven is here. I've heard a lot of her story. I haven't heard all of it, and so I'm super excited to hear it tonight. Just real quick, just to kind of catch y'all up, we do have some new merch in the store, like this shirt. I'm gonna lift myself up, see if I can do it without. So Josh Sneed's mom came up with this design. It's like the Raven standing between fentanyl and the people. We love that one. We also have some stuff coming up. We had a meeting tonight with Lance and Brian with the SFH guys. We're going to do a co-brand with them to have some. The designs they came up with were really cool, like between a Raven and the We Are Still Freaking Here people, like their logo with the heart and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be super cool. So that'll be coming out in the next couple weeks. What else? I think that's it. We already have lots of people popping in. Let's say hi real quick. Here's Jennifer Farley, my fiance, as of just over a week ago. Hey, baby. Thanks for dropping in. We have Yvette. What's going on? Jason Goodell. I've known him since a long time ago, way before I ever went to prison. Claudia, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate you. There's my mom right there. They're watching. Woohoo. All right. So, anyway, without any further ado, without any other fanfare, I'm going to bring out my sister, April Garner. Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Kara dropped in while we were talking. Hang on just a second. Melody. Hey, Melody. Yeah, anyway, hi.
Hi. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, I know it. I'm super excited too. Like I was way beyond the moon after our board meeting the other night whenever you were like, all right, I want to come on the podcast and talk about this stuff. And I was like,
let's do it.
Bet.
It just made so much sense in that moment. I was like, the kids.
Yeah.
The kids.
The kids, right?
Yes.
And in our board meeting, so just to kind of give y'all some backstory a little bit, April grew up here in Jacksonville, not in the best neighborhood, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But we were talking about that during the board meeting for the Raven is here is, just how poverty and low income, like we're in a very, very, very low income area of Texas, and just how that affects addiction and all the things. And so after the board meeting was done, Kara, April, and I stayed on. We talked for a few minutes about some stuff, and April was like, I know about this. I can talk about this because you lived it, right? Like it's lived experience for you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So many times I hear you guys.
So anyway, that's how she ended up here.
Yes. Made sense.
But it's also an amazing story of how your past doesn't define you, and I've said it 100 times and I'll say it 100 times again, is you can only blame the way you were raised or how you were brought up or the conditions you were brought up in on the way you act as an adult. And now, you have a great job, you have a family, you're a productive member of society, never struggled with addiction, never been, incarcerated, all this stuff, when, but statistically, you should have been.
Yes. I guess so. I guess you could say that, yeah.
Yeah, right. If you look at statistics, like it should have been. So anyway, hang on, let me cut this feed out because I've got some weird stuff going on here. So just tell us, like, start wherever you want to start and take us wherever you want to take us.
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I looked at that life and I was like, that's exactly what I don't want to do, right? Like, I don't
Right.
want to be that person. And I guess it was kind of easy for me to make that decision because of my mom. My mom was sober. She's disabled. And my dad was on the receiving end of drug addiction. And so I guess we can kind of just start from the beginning here. My name is April, for those of you who don't know me. I have two siblings that I grew up with, Carly and Jeremy. I have a few other siblings whom I did not grow up with. They were adopted out. And that is three of them. So I have Danielle, Elizabeth, and Kevin. They were given up for adoption at younger ages. And so, yeah, fast forward, my mom, she kept all three of us together and we lived a life. From pretty young age, I'm going to start back to when my first memories of kind of everything started. And that was probably about the age of 3. I know a lot of people are like, you don't remember things when yes, you do. You remember things when you were 3, especially
Yeah.
traumatic things.
Yeah.
My very first memory when I look back, how far back can you remember anyhow? It would be me sitting on a cooler and between our kitchen and our dining room area, there was a little cooler there. And I was just hanging out on the cooler, and out of nowhere, my dad picks up this huge limb, stick, piece of wood. It was an object, a huge piece of wood. And
Yeah.
he just hammers my mom with it. And that was my first memory that as far back as I can remember, right? Lays my mom out. We're kids. We really don't know what's going on. Just kind of like, get out of the way, duck and hide, whatever. So yeah, that was the first bit of abuse that I witnessed my mom going through as we were growing up, getting older. My dad was in and out of jail. I'm not sure if he was in prison by this point yet, but he was definitely in and out of jail.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember every time, he would knock on the door, someone would knock on the door, we'd run and hide behind couches, love seats, whatever we could find, because at this point we were in fear of him. I'm going to fast forward to about the age of 10. The age of 10 is when I started learning how to drive. And my brother was driving way before me. My dad's little silver car. And there's one particular memory that I have that is so just valid. And I thought it was cool at the time, but now looking back, I would never do this to my child. But my first driving experience was actually to a drug dealer's house.
Wow.
Where I was able to drive him and an uncle of mine. And they were able to get their drugs. And I just drove back. I had no idea what I was doing. I just drove back home. Well, I kind of found out what was going on once we got back to the house. And I had to drive them back again because they had received wax. And I just knew it was wax. But I got to drive them back.
You thought that was just cool.
I just thought it was cool. I was getting to drive again.
Yeah.
Getting to drive again. And so anyhow, luckily no one was there. So
right. Hey, real quick. She hadn't commented yet, but Jennifer told me that she was watching. I want to shout out Jennifer's daughter-in-law, Ariel Summers, is watching. So hey, Ariel. Okay. Anyway.
Okay, so yeah, got to drive again, whatever. Luckily nobody was there, so we went back to the house. Anyhow, that was just a vivid memory that had stuck out in my mind. I'm gonna kind of skip around a little bit, so y'all just bear with me. I grew up in Lincoln Park. Okay, those of you who live in Jacksonville are probably very familiar. Back in the day, it didn't have such a great name. It was known for drive-by shootings, some crazy things just popping off here and there. And but that was our home. That was actually my great-grandmother's home. And so she had raised my mother there, and my mother inherited the house and raised us children there. Okay. So if you can put into perspective, a little pink home with all of us children, and it was tiny. It was tiny, and we could see holes through the floor. Our cat would actually come in and out beside the hot water heater under the house, And so it was her little entry, her little doggy door, for lack of better words. But anyway, spiders, snakes, you name it, they were in the house. But anyway, so that was where we grew up. And my dad was in and out, like I said, of this home. And let's see here. When I don't know exactly how old I was, but at one point my dad went to prison. And that's when things kind of got like, I want to say better, in a sense. There was no more abuse.
Yeah.
And I'm going to back up actually a little bit before that. I just want to tell you, I learned the difference in drugs pretty early too, right? Like I knew that my dad was in a great mood and he would clean the whole house if he was on one particular drug. And then I knew he was in a really bad mood on another drug. And so it's almost encouraged, like, go do that drug of choice. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be a nice guy. You're not going to beat me today.
Yeah.
That's so terrible. But I mean, at that age, you kind of pick and choose your battles. But anyways, so he went to prison and he did some he made some really bad decisions. Ended up at one point in time breaking out, just crazy stuff. Okay. So we lived this safe life of no abuse for a minute. But during that time, my mom, who's disabled, she is disabled. She has cerebral palsy on her left side. She had a stroke when she was a baby. And so she's already like struggling to make ends meet, but this doesn't help her. We don't have a car. We don't have, she doesn't have, I mean, she has a job, but it's a difficult job. Okay. I'm just going to put it like that. She doesn't make a whole lot of money. And I think it's like $2 a day or something at this point. It's very minimal money. And so we're living off food stamps and we're living off of any government assistance we can get.
Yeah.
So there was one particular time that I remember, and I was talking to my mom about this earlier. And there was lots of times that, we would eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for supper or just, little stuff here and there. There was one particular time I was talking to my mom about earlier, and I was like, do you remember this? And she said, I do. And I just want to elaborate what had happened. So we had tomato paste heated up in a pan on the stove and a slice of bread. And I'll never forget that. It was almost like SOS, but without meat and with tomato sauce instead of gravy. I don't know. Anyways, so we had that for supper one night. And so I'm talking to her about it. And she said, yes, it's because she has family and they had come in and taken the groceries and said, well, you get government assistance anyways. And so ended up having APS help us out, but which is, I don't know if you know what Adult Protective Services is. Adult Protective Services usually, they protect disabled, older people, things like that. So they were actually a big part of my life in a good way growing up. So we had CPS, all kinds of people involved, but anyways. moral of the story is they ended up helping us out. And so, living pretty much off of nothing while my father was in prison. I want to talk a little bit more about the people that had helped us, if that's okay. I feel like I'm bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, no, please do. I was going to segue into that if you didn't.
Yes.
No, you're good.
So, growing up, no money, right? No money for school supplies, school clothes, like just the basic household things. Like we didn't have anything. We didn't have a pot to piss in. We were walking everywhere, from our house in Lincoln Park to Walmart, which is it's a good ways, especially when you're carrying bags of groceries. And then cars would just pass you, leave you walking, and you'd, get so angry at them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we did. That's the life we lived. So anyhow, as far as people that had helped us, I'll never forget this. And I think this is why I'm so passionate now about the kids in the community, is because if I didn't have those people, I would probably have chosen a different route. And a friend of, well, I say a friend, someone that we went to church with, he was an older man. And he had a daughter that was about my age, was a little bit older, and he would pass her clothes down to us. And that was like, man, like that was some shopping. We were so excited for that stuff. And she was a little smaller than me, and so I'd have to lose some weight every time I got a bag of clothes just to get in them. But anyways, so they were a huge help, along with Angel Tree in Jacksonville. Every Christmas, they would provide us with clothes, with Barbie dolls, with whatever, and there's no feeling, that I can even explain or describe as that would equate to that, and we knew where they came from. It was no secret. They came in big black trash bags. Right. But it was the best thing ever, like, because you didn't get it often.
Right.
And so, but Angel Tree, the family I'm talking about is the Batemans. They're here in Jacksonville. And multiple people, outreaches that came along and helped us. We had a church one time out of Tyler that had came and put a roof on our house because our roof was collapsing. And our floor was collapsing too, but at least we had a roof. We were thankful.
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted to again say, I guess, thank you.
And one of the most
watching.
Yeah. And one of the most impactful things, I think, it was right after we started the Ravenous here, and I think it was the first time we had gone to a Sheltering Arms meeting. And it's a conglomerate. The Sheltering Arms Coalition here in Jacksonville is a conglomeration of different nonprofits that come together once a month and just kind of share resources and all that. There's people from the Clothes Closet and Hope and all these different places. And I didn't know any of this about April at this point. And she stood up and she was like, y'all may not remember me, but I was this little girl, and I remember you because you gave me this, and I remember you because we got clothes from you, and I remember you because this. And like, there wasn't a dry eye in that place whenever she stood up and told that. And it was just, I don't know, like, I had no idea about any of your past until then, like, it was like we just started to get to know each other and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, that's why she's so passionate about what we do.
Yes, I love it, man. I love it. Like, I'm so thankful for it, and I can't even explain the fulfillment it gives my heart here. But okay, so fast forward, right? So all these people, wonderful people, they took care of us. They gave us rides to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. They made sure we were clothed. They made sure we were fed. They made sure we were good. They made sure my mom was good. And I don't want to downplay my mom.
Hang on, let me say hi to Bobby. Bobby Rogers just said hi. Let me say hi to Bobby. What's going on, man? Thanks for dropping in, buddy. April knows Bobby too. All right, go ahead.
I don't want to like diss my mom at all. My mom worked her
No.
ass off. My mom was,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to make that clear. Like she was a great
Yeah.
mom. You know, she married
Yeah.
a man that had his own choices, but
Right.
she was
Her
a
picker
great
was broke.
mom. Uh, so anyhow, I want to fast forward now to when my dad gets out of prison.
Can I hang on before you
Yeah,
do that?
go for it.
Hold that thought. So look, we're at our Christmas event in Lincoln Park, the place where April grew up. Um, we start running out of toys, so we make a mad dash to the store. April and I do, and we're like trying to run to the store and get back, and like and it's just to the Dollar General. We fill up 2 baskets, huge of toys. Anyway, she's zooming through these little side streets and all this stuff, and we get to this little hill, this street that goes down a hill that's pretty steep. And she was like, "You want to know something?" And I was like, "Sure." And she was like, "We used to go on walks with my mom, and all of us would just roll down, and it's paved, y'all. This is a street.
We
This is
did.
not a grass hill." And she was like, "We would just roll down this hill and then run back up it and then roll down this hill." And I was like, "Man, you were gangster as a kid, man, because that's rough."
We
But
were.
it was
I'm
just
telling you.
funny, like to be driving through this part of town that isn't that great. And now I've never been over there, but like April's talking about, like she's sharing part of her childhood with me, right? Like, okay, we used to do this here, we used to do this here, and you see this long ass hill right here. We used to just roll down it like we were made of rubber, just boom, 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 boom. And it was just so cool. Like, I don't know, it was a cool moment, but I was like, man, I don't even think I'd have done that as a kid. Like you were hardcore.
So my mom,
Anyway,
she would still be walking, like, cause we're little kids,
still be
so
walking,
we're
right?
like running everywhere.
Because mom's disabled, right? So she's a little
Yes,
slower anyway,
yes,
right? So
exactly. And
y'all are
no,
like
we're just
running,
going,
and y'all
going,
have rolled
going.
down this hill 4 times.
She would
Yeah.
let us. She was like, "Go for it," like. So we were like, "Go for it." And that's another thing I want to say, like. So yes, Lincoln Park was known to be kind of like the worst, or I guess the bad part of town or whatever. But I can honestly tell you that there was only 2 times in my entire childhood that I was scared outside of my home. And one of
Mm-hmm.
which was my mom and I were walking to a store called Razorback. I don't know if you remember Razorback or not.
No, I
So,
do. Yeah, it was on when I worked for the sheriff's department. Razorback and the Razorback Trailer Park were on the dangerous places list.
yeah, so that was my dad's other home, by the way, when we were growing up. Like
Yeah, I
he had
believe it.
to go there, and then he had us at home. So, anyways, we were walking to Razorback to go get me a piece of candy because that was going to be my treat when we got there. And I think my mom had
Yeah,
like some type of charge account, or maybe the ladies would take care of it. I don't know. But anyhow, I know that when I'd get there, I'd get a piece of candy though. And but
yeah.
anyhow, one time we were on our way back, I believe. If I might We might have been on our way there. Either way, there was a guy that got behind us, and we would cross one side of the street, and he'd follow us, and we'd cross back over, and he'd follow us. And there's a guy that lived out there, Little Marvin's, what they called him, and he would always say, "Hi, Miss Tammy. Hi, Miss Moore," and like wave, and it was all love. And he didn't say anything this day as we were passing his house. The only thing he said was, "Hey." And my mom kind of looked back, and I just kept on walking because I didn't know what was going on, like kind of tunnel vision here. And
Yeah.
she said that he looked at that man and just shook his head no. And that was it. The guy turned around and walked the other way. I was a little scared that time. One other time was standing outside waiting on the bus, and some guy offered me some candy and some money to get in his car. And I declined. I started screaming, running for my
And
life.
let me put this into perspective for y'all. We're in a very, very small East Texas town. Like back then, it was 13,000 people. It might be 15,000 now, 14 and change. Um, Very rural, still very racially divided. right? Like there's still some racism going on here.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure. And the part of town that April's talking about growing up in, like that was the black part of town. But just the fact that you always felt safe there, you know
oh
what I mean?
yeah,
Like you just
yeah.
like you were there, you know what I mean? And you were part of them, you know, like they,
That's my family, you know, like I
yeah,
may
I
have
was
been the
gonna
only
say
little
that's your
white girl
family.
on the bus, but that was my family. Like
Right, right,
you couldn't tell
right,
me no different.
right.
And so yeah, those were the only 2 times I was ever scared in my life. So rolling down the hill, like I'm good. I got this, right?
Right.
But anyhow, no, I want to fast forward to when my dad gets out of prison.
Yeah.
I don't know if my brother's watching this or not, but when I say abuse, that term is sometimes used so loosely, I feel like. And my brother endured the worst of it. And I might be crossing the line by saying this, but I'm going to say it. My brother was born with a disability himself. He doesn't let it hold him back. He has a full-time job. He's a freaking hero, man.
Yeah.
But he was, and he struggled. He was in, cast when he was little and struggled with his feet and his legs real bad. And my brother went through it. And there was one particular day, my dad, he had kind of went off the deep end, and got upset
Yeah.
about something. And he went in there, and he's a felon, and got a gun off the wall. And was ready to end it all for us. And my cousin was at the house. My sister and I were there. And we took off running and screaming for our lives. My brother didn't. My brother stayed with my mom and was like ride or die.
Mm.
And we weren't old. I mean, my brother was probably no older than 12 years old.
Yeah.
And just thinking, like, looking back now, like, what that was for him. Luckily, they made it out alive, obviously. But yeah, when I say child abuse, I I'm so bubbly and I'm so happy, and I feel like I put on a pretty good, front. But we went through it.
Yeah.
We went through it. And my mom, she obviously, you know, she went through it as well. But yeah, drugs. The whole reason why I guess I'm just so passionate about every bit of this is because drugs tear a family apart. We all know that they can tear a family apart, but it has such an impact on your children. Like I feel like I don't know, like we can learn from it, we can grow from it. But if you have that moment after sobriety, after you choose sobriety to be with your kids, to choose your kids, choose them. Like, I don't care how
Yeah.
much you screwed up. I don't care. They
Come
don't
on.
care what you did wrong. You know what I mean? Like, none of that matters. Just choose them for one moment. Just choose them. And I think that's something that I still struggle with, myself, is just not feeling that from him, you know? And so I
Yeah.
want these kids and these communities to feel that from someone, to feel chosen from someone, to feel loved from someone, to feel happy for one moment.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't know. I'm probably missing so much of my
No,
story.
it's okay. And let me tell you what kind of impact. Like April's been to Memphis with us a couple times. Um, the first time we went to the Hoe Track, which if for those of y'all that don't know, it's a block and a half, 2 blocks up from where we do the Thanksgiving events and the Christmas events and all that kind of stuff. Like it's literally a 2-minute drive, if that, from Melrose Street, where We Fight Monsters has, multiple houses and stuff like that. We got to meet. April got to meet. Like it was beautiful. It was the most beautiful thing. It was probably one of the most impactful times I've ever been to Memphis. April got to meet Jess as one. Jess has one person and Ben has one person they'll never give up on. We got to meet Jess as one. We got to meet Ben's one. And we got to meet another girl that April immediately bonded with. And April's like all into talking to this girl. She's a woman. I say girl, but they're all grown. Um, April's all into talking about it. She doesn't see what's going on around her. Like I see, there's a dope deal going on right behind us. There's a lady smoking crack over here. There's another person in a wheelchair that the wind was blowing so hard she couldn't light her crack pipe, so she was covering up in a blanket and smoking crack under the blanket. April was oblivious to all that because
No
she was
idea.
so in the moment. Yeah, she had no idea what was going on. I'm looking around, like I've got April there, Ben's there, but I'm still like I'm keeping an eye on stuff. And it was just so impactful. And a week later, a couple weeks later, nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered except in that moment, April was so laser focused, and it made such an impact even on Ben that a few weeks later, Kristen Vaughn did a post that was like she listed a bunch of people's names and was like, "Give me a phrase that whenever you hear this person's name, what do you think?" And Ben said, "Take me to the hoe track, April Garner." Because that's where her heart is, right? Yeah, Chris was security that day for sure. But she had such an impact because nothing else mattered in that moment but loving on these people. Like one of them's an HIV positive, been in the streets for 40 something years. One of them's been in and out of rehab. The other one was trying to get her kids back. We haven't heard from her. She showed up to the event the next day. Hadn't seen or heard from her since. But in that moment, April was like it was just a beautiful thing to watch. It was because it was just like, man, that's my sis right there. You know what I mean? Like she's loving on these people. She's doing it,
Those are my people and their babies.
Yeah, Casey said it. Look at Kate. Whoop, my earbud fell out. Your heart gets lost in love, even on the hoe tracks. It does, man. Like you cannot help it.
So true.
And you know what's crazy is that day, and I'm not going to mention names because we're on Facebook too, and a lot of the people on Facebook know these people. But Jess's one remembered me from the time I met her before and came up and gave me a hug. She was just like, "Give me a hug, white boy," and I was like, "All right," and I gave her a big old hug. But yeah, it's just so much love. Like it just blows my mind. Like you have these people that are just in the worst possible shape, but they have more love than anybody I've ever met in my life.
Yep. And it's because history, history happens, and I feel like it's a lack of love. I feel like it's a lack of just, you know what I mean? Emotion, not showing it, but feeling it. And I think that's why it's so important for these kids to just feel that in that moment, because like I said, if I didn't have that love from everyone else, there's no telling where I would. And my brother, my sister, they're both completely sober, living wonderful lives, have children, families. And I think honestly, it's because of that. Like, and my mom, obviously, she worked her ass off. She didn't cut us no slack either. By any means. But as kids, we gave her a run for her money. So, but I wanted to say, I just wanted to say one more thing real quick. So our house.
Yeah, you can say all the things. We got lots of time.
Oh, great. So our house that we lived in, I told y'all there was holes in the floor and we had a cat door.
Yeah.
So our house, we had a church come out and they were trying to help us level our house out. Because I kid you not, like it was complete crap. Okay. Well, I don't know if they leveled it too fast and like, you know what I mean? But like our whole wall cracked in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So you could feel the breeze. I mean, and we only had one little Dearborn heater growing up. So when you're getting out of the
Yeah.
bathtub, you're running, you're wrapping your towel around the heater trying to get warm real quick. No AC, okay?
Right.
No,
Right.
I mean, we had one window unit, but it didn't work worth a
Yeah.
flip. Like, it was like a
Yeah.
hot pan, you know? And we weren't allowed to turn
Yeah.
it on very often because the electricity bill, I want to say this, it was us kids and my mom. So my brother, when he was home, he would have to mow. Well, he went off to college, and it was my responsibility. And my dad was out of prison at this time, and for Christmas one year, he got me a self-propelling lawnmower. And I was so happy. Oh, you have no idea. I was so happy. My mom's yard is not big, y'all. Or it's not small, it's actually really big. So, like,
Yeah.
there's an acre here. Well, they call it a lot, but it's like almost an acre. It felt like an
Yeah.
acre at 14, okay? And
Right.
then there's this property over here, which is another lot, which also felt like an acre. So I'd get out there with that self-propelled lawnmower and just go to town. Well, anyways, I'll tell you another story, but I'm gonna cut to this point real quick. I'd run inside, get to turn the air conditioner on for a second, like cool off with this hot blowing air. It didn't do anything. But anyways, so growing up, one particular time, my mama felt so bad. And this wasn't abuse or anything. I just feel like telling this story because it's funny looking
No,
back.
go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
This self-propelling lawnmower, right? I went over this area in the field because I was having to mow the field. And I had felt something like ants or something had got on my legs. And so, like, I backed up and I was like, well, crap, but I didn't see anything. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, like, it's just me. It's hot. You know how you get when you get hot and, like,
Yeah.
stingy or whatever? So I went back over it. I got lit up with ground hornets and ended up,
Really?
yes, it was horrible. Ended up having to be rushed to the
Oh.
hospital. They called code blue on me. It's terrible. It's terrible. All because of a freaking lawn. But anyways, I don't know where I was
Yeah.
before that. But where was I? I gotta tell this part of the story too. Let's see here. I want to talk I guess I can go ahead and say this part. I want to talk about the time that we got our first car after my dad went to prison. It was given to us by an aunt and uncle. And it was this long black Cadillac car. It had no insurance on it. Pretty sure the tags were expired. And my mom couldn't drive. And so
Yeah.
my brother was driving us one time. And I just want to kind of talk about when I'm saying this, like, I need you to imagine, like, the lack thereof any responsibility. Like, we didn't know what insurance was. We didn't know what a driver's license was. We didn't know that you had to pay for a doctor's visit if you didn't have Medicaid, or that, food wasn't free. We didn't, like, there wasn't no concept really of that. We weren't really taught that at this point. But we knew that if you did something wrong, we knew how to run. We knew that. We knew how to run from the law. We knew how to get by with some stuff. And so one particular time, my brother and I don't remember, we were probably just going to the gas station. I don't remember what we were doing. It was completely innocent. But we were young and we rear-ended a car that was in front of us. And we didn't hit him hard. It was like 10 miles an hour, right?
Right.
Because this car had no brakes. And we took a fast right and we hauled butt. So it is a wonder that we turned out the way that we did, after all the interesting things that we lived through. But yeah,
Right.
I have insurance now on my car. I have a driver's
I remember you
license.
telling me a story of you were 23 or 4 or something the first time you like had a registered and insured vehicle, and
Yeah.
when it happened, like, you were wanting to get pulled over so
Oh,
you could be
yeah.
like, here you go.
Yeah. Like, I was speeding down the highway, like, going as fast as I could. Like, please pull me over. Somebody pull me over so I can show this. Almost like when you turn 21 and you buy a beer and you're like, please charge me. You know what I mean? No, it's like pedal to the metal. Boom! Like, let's go. Terrible. No,
I love it.
When I was, I got a driver's license when I was 15, right?
Right.
And I worked my butt off for my first car, which my mom grounded me from multiple times, even though I paid for it.
Hey, look who it is.
Hey.
It's Alyssa. Hey, girl. Thanks for coming.
But my mom had grounded me from multiple times, even though I paid for it. But anyways, I didn't have insurance on it. It just completely irresponsible, right? So when I got up older, I always had a vehicle and I had a driver's license, but I never had insurance. So I was very thankful when they passed a law in Texas that like the no insurance thing went away and your driver's license could be valid again.
Yeah.
What did Casey say? I can't read.
Okay. He said Cody was like this when he got his license. Please, Mr. Officer.
Exactly.
Let me show you what I got.
Let me show you. Go ahead and give me that ticket. I don't even care.
Right.
Terrible. Terrible. My brother was smart. He had all that figured out way before I did. It took me a while.
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're doing now. Obviously you're a part of the Ravenous here, and like it's such a huge part because you have ties to the community we're reaching. You have a heart for the community we're reaching, but and like I said at the beginning, like I say this all the time to people, and you see posts about it, especially in all the recovery groups. Like, it doesn't matter how you were raised. There comes a point in your life where you have to take ownership of your life. You can't blame your past. You can't blame your circumstances. Like, you have a choice. I'm going to live like this, not like this. All right, Cody, hang on. Cody, I've been out of prison since 2016 and I still haven't been pulled over. Thank God, but perfectly legal. But cruise control is also my friend because I don't like messing with them folks. And now you have 3 beautiful kids. You have a family.
Chris drives like grandpa. Ask Kara.
No, ask April. She rode to Memphis and back with me. She was like
grandpa. Terrible. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And this last trip to Memphis in December, she drove up the day after we did, and she was like, "All right, I made it here in such and such time. We're leaving on Sunday. Can you keep up?" I did not keep up, by the way.
Did not. We were gone.
Yeah, did I?
Mr. Officer, please pull me over.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you have a good job now. You have a beautiful family. Like, you're a productive member of society. You're involved with, your community, all these kind of things. And if you look at, like I said, statistically, you should not be.
Right.
If you look at the statistics.
I will say all of my cousins, besides I think one, maybe two, they're all in prison. Mm-hmm. And a few of them are in there for many, many years to come.
Yeah.
What's making you laugh? I can't read comments. I'm so sad.
Kara said he drives slow. I don't drive slow. I drive the speed limit because I don't like getting pulled over. She didn't make a 6-hour trip in 4. She made a 7-hour trip in 6. She did do that.
I did.
She did do that, but she only stopped once. When you're riding in a car with a woman and 2 kids, you make a lot of stops, especially with the 2 kids. Maybe not so much.
I had one. And I told him he better hold it, though. He better hold it.
No, at Christmas, you didn't come with a kid.
No, on the way back? No, I didn't.
No, you didn't. I had Connor with me.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I had Connor. Yeah.
Well, anyway. No, but like I was saying, statistically, yes. But in the same, I think a lot of it's to do with the love that I received from the community. From those same people, who Melody Walters, with the Angel Tree. And I'm sure there's a few on here, or who have, listened in, that gave back to us as kids.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
for
can't
sure.
read any of these comments.
That's so weird. Cody said Casey will make a 7-hour trip in 4. Alyssa called me a grandpa.
He is. That he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Just don't like getting pulled over, man.
I just want to say, hold on about this driving thing. We
Oh
were
my God.
we were looking for y'all on Life 360. And we knew what highway y'all were on, and Kara pulled up Connor, and it was like 56 miles per hour and a 70. And I was like, what is he doing? Like,
I was stuck behind a truck.
yeah, whatever.
Y'all know how it is on the interstate. If y'all have ever been on I-40 between, or even on I-30, any interstate, when you get behind them trucks that decide they're going to pass each other and it takes 20 minutes for them to pass, that's exactly what was
You know,
happening.
that didn't happen to me not one time.
Yeah.
Not one time.
Bullshit.
No, but yeah, no, seriously, that's why I'm passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
Is just that, you know. I mean, I have such a love for these people, and I would love nothing more for them, you know, to get clean, for them to be with their family, for them to love on their kids. That's my desire for them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's part of like the look on the kids' faces at Christmas. It was priceless, wasn't it? Like it was awesome.
So priceless. You know, I don't know this lady's name. I just want to tell a story. Like, my heart broke, but in the same, sorry.
I didn't know Restream would do that. Is that really a thing?
Didn't know it either.
Or is that just an iPhone thing? It might be an iPhone thing.
So
Because
my heart broke, and like, golly, dude, I can't even explain. There was this lady who came through the Memphis line, and she had 3 beautiful babies with her. And she was getting dinner at Thanksgiving, and her babies were so respectful and just so sweet. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And she had cerebral palsy.
remember you telling me that.
And she walked with a limp, and her arm was just like my mom's. And in that moment, I just wanted to go like grab her and hug her and be like, "Oh my God, I love you so much," you know.
Yeah.
But I knew that would be weird, and so I didn't do it. But yeah,
But, you know, she might, and not like downing you, but she might have needed that hug. You know,
yeah, maybe I can just be the weird one.
be the weird one. Be
I'll
weird.
keep that
Anything
thought
less
next
is
time.
boring.
Keep that thought in
Yeah.
my time. No, but it's
Yeah.
for the babies, you know. And so, yeah. I don't know if there's anything else about my story. I'm sure I'm missing so much. I'm gonna rewatch this. I'm gonna be like, dude, I left this out.
Yeah. I know you're going to analyze the shit out of it, and I'm going to be like, it's fine. It's fine. Like
Yeah.
it's. We've talked for 48 minutes, and it hadn't even felt like it.
Never does.
Never does.
Never does.
Anything else you want to leave us with?
Everybody love everybody.
Everybody love everybody. Like my boy Keith Burgess says, I love everybody.
Everybody love
Don't
everybody.
die, man. Yeah,
And be a better
everybody
place.
love everybody.
Be a better world.
Yeah, for sure. So let me think real quick. Sybil, I don't know if you're still on here or not. If you are, I will be in Memphis October 7th, the 8th, and 9th. The 8th and the 9th, I'll be pretty busy. If you and Joey could somehow figure it out, like I'd love to take y'all to dinner on Friday the 7th, because I would really love to meet y'all as much as we've interacted on social media. There's some big stuff happening with We Fight Monsters. I'm not going to talk about right now, but I'll be up there on the 8th. We are having our Easter event on April the 19th, y'all, and we have almost everything bought off the Amazon wish list. We only lack a couple things, so if y'all want to help us out with that, we greatly appreciate it. Yeah, go buy some candy. Like really, that's all we lack is a couple bags of candy and maybe one deal of Easter baskets. Like there's not much at all. We're almost there. DM me if you want to help out. DM me for the link. Sybil, I said like Friday the 7th that evening would be the only the only time I would have to do it. March the 7th. If y'all can do that, man, like we're going to leave here probably, me and a buddy of mine I did time with are going to come up. We're going to be slam packed on that Saturday, slam packed busy on that Saturday and Sunday, but we'll be pretty chill when we get into town Friday afternoon late. So if y'all could do it then, like I'd love to take y'all out to eat. So yeah, if you want to help us out, yeah, I know, make a bigger list. We really don't need much except, all right, so somebody bought all the food off the list, but the jalapenos still hadn't showed up. So I don't know, like if they're being imported from China, from Amazon, like I don't know. Anyway, like, I don't know. It's really weird. So there may be some more jalapenos from a different supplier going up real soon if those jokers don't show up. But literally, we're almost there. So if y'all want to help out, I don't have the link readily available, so just shoot me a DM. I'll send you a link to the Amazon wish list. I think that's it.
Yep, super pumped.
Super
excited.
pumped. Yeah.
Excited to get these kids some candy and make memories.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the little stuff, like you don't even have to make it big. Like we're just doing nachos and an Easter egg hunt for the kids. You know what I mean?
Day, though. It's going
to be fun. We're going to have a DJ there. We're actually going to have a DJ this time, as long as the weather's good. And like that's another thing.
I'm sorry. I just want to say, it may just be nachos, but this might be that baby's only meal that day. You never know. You never know. They might be going home to tomato paste and bread instead.
Yeah.
So just the little bitty things that we can do for our towns make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
But we have a DJ.
We do have a DJ. Yeah. We do have a DJ. The same DJ that's going to DJ our wedding, by the way. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else you want to leave us with?
I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
All right. Awesome. All right, y'all. Next week, I have Shelby Sharamonte. That is my future stepdaughter's mother-in-law. I've heard a little bit of it through Jennifer and Alyssa, and she has just an amazing, amazing story. So I can't wait just to sit down and talk to her and hear it all, because I haven't heard any of it out of her mouth. So I'm looking forward to that. I have some really cool guests coming up in the next couple of weeks. So y'all stay tuned for that. And April, stick around for 2 seconds while I do this outro, because I want to holler at you when we get done. And I will see y'all next week.